celebrate the first days of autumn here on the farm then with some homemade sourdough croissants. So I mixed these 2 days ago, actually did all my laminating yesterday, and then I'm baking them this morning. I do much prefer baking them the same day I laminate them. I looked in the fridge this morning and I was like, oh no, they're overproofed. But they seem to be rising fine in the oven, but I still prefer baking same day. Didn't have time yesterday, we had company, so I'm getting to it now. And then I want to make a little fall twist on these. As you'll see throughout today's video, we are fully embracing the first days of autumn here, but I want to make a little kind of like an apple compote slash chutney situation to put in the bottom of these, put a pastry cream over that, maybe a caramel drizzle. I think they'll be delicious. So let's start with that, and then we will continue celebrating autumn this weekend. Actually, it's Friday today, and 2 days is officially the first day of autumn, so we have some fun things up our sleeves to celebrate the change of the seasons again. Light my candle, and y'all know me, I like all the cozy vibes in the kitchen. I cannot decide between these three. I wish I could have you sniff them and see what you think. Main Street Bakery pumpkin spice or pumpkin #2, and this is actually really fun. Anybody can go on their website and order these. There's pumpkin #1, #2, and #3, and you actually get to vote which is your favorite scent, and then when you order it, they'll mail you this little booklet and you can like give name suggestions for it. Anyway, it's super fun, but I think that's the one I'm gonna burn today. Between #1, #2, #3, #2 is definitely my favorite. It has kind of those warm coffee undertones. I know a lot of you have been loving Main Street Bakery. This is like Main Street Bakery, but in autumn form, so that's the one I'm picking for today. Seems to fit well with my morning of baking and croissant making. Okay, just pulled my latch batch out of the oven, and I think I'm making a decision. These do not meet my standards. We will still enjoy these, but they did not turn out like I like croissants to turn out, and I think it is because of that long overnight ferment that I did the second time. Every other time I bake them the same day and they turn out beautiful. These are nice, they're crispy, they're just not wow. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna do another batch. Maybe I can take you along for a little bit more of it this time. So I just fed my starter this morning. We'll mix the dough this afternoon, and then these will be delicious still as sandwiches and things like that. I actually made a bunch of these smaller, so this is more of a normal size croissant, and then I also did some little baby ones, which are really fun. We will be eating these a little bit later. So I'm gonna set these aside to cool, and then I'm actually gonna move on to another favorite fall recipe for us. Actually another canning recipe, which is apple butter. This is such a treat all throughout the winter then. I can it, I keep it in my canning cupboard, and we just really enjoy that. I always had kind of bland apple butters that were just like okay, and I tried a new one last year. I hope I could recreate it because it was absolutely phenomenal. The flavors were delicious. So that's next on my schedule here this morning. All right, these are all the apples that I have to work with here for my apple butter. I have a mix here. There's some Yellow Delicious, we have Fuji, and then Honey Crisp. And so I'm gonna go ahead and wash these up. We're gonna chop them up, and then these actually will cook for 10 hours. So you want to start this process in the morning and have it cook all day long. That way you get those delicious, it kind of caramelizes them a little bit, just really deepens the flavors. So washing up, and then we'll chop them. project days here at our homeschool. And so today for that, Kyra wanted to make another one of our very favorite fall recipes, which is pumpkin butter. So first up, we're gonna wash this pumpkin and then roast it to make pumpkin puree. For my apple butter, I like to pull out this giant roaster that I found at a yard sale years ago. It is pretty stained up, but it works really well because it keeps my temperature steady and I don't have to constantly be standing by the stove, and it fits a lot of apples. So that's what we're gonna put the apples into, and then we'll add all of our spices and everything and get it cooking. You can put all these apples in there. Kyra's pumpkin butter. You can see her beautiful pumpkin butter, and you can see the layers did turn out nice in the croissants, but I had a little taste of her pumpkin butter and I had to have one in a croissant. It's like a match made in heaven. We need to bring Daddy one of these. He would love it. Kyra's finished pumpkin butter. This stuff is delicious. I've been working on cutting up some more of this giant pumpkin that Kyra got started for us. So I'm gonna roast these. These like little roasted chunks of pumpkin on salads are so delicious. Obviously there's a lot of different ways to use them, but that's my plan for the rest of this. The other half we are turning into pumpkin puree to enjoy over the season here. But as I mentioned before, I want to redo my croissants. We have already been really enjoying the ones I made this morning, but I know I can do better, and I really want them to look just right for my apple compote and the pastry cream and that whole vision I had in my head. And so I fed my starter this morning. She is looking nice and bubbly, and so it's time to mix up the next batch. It is just after 2 o'clock, so if you are wanting to make croissants, they are a labor of love and they take a lot of time, and sometimes it can be a little tricky, like when should I start it in order to make croissants, like in a day or two. Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon is a good time to start. I want the dough to rise or ferment at room temperature for 3 or 4 hours depending on how cold it is. So when it's cooler in your house, you want it to be a little bit longer, versus if it's really warm, it doesn't need as long. But then we're gonna pop it in the fridge to rest overnight, and then tomorrow is actually when all the laminating and the cutting and all of that happens. So anyways, we will get the process started. To let as few things go to waste as I can. I was gonna just go give all these apple cores to the pigs, But then I remembered my grape juicer. It's like a steamer that I use for all our Concord grapes outside that we've actually been using here this week. But why don't I just turn this into apple juice? So I'm gonna try that. I've never actually made apple juice with this before, I don't think, but we'll give it a try. And then the pigs can still have the leftovers after that, so they'll still get a treat. Well, good morning. It is the next morning now, Saturday morning. I have been up since, well, before the sun was up, doing my laminating of my new croissant dough, and I'm in the middle of getting ready, so excuse my hair, I need to fix it yet, but it's time to do the last stretch and fold, so I'm going to do that now. And I wanted to hop on here and show you just the last one, because I know sometimes the folds, when it says tri-fold or envelope fold or turn it whatever, can be kind of confusing. And I did do a much more detailed how I make croissants a number of months ago, maybe even a year ago now. I'll try to remember to link that for you in the description box below. But croissant making is a labor of love. There are a lot of steps involved, but they're not hard once you get the grasp of how it's supposed to be. So I'm on to my last one now. Basically what we've been doing all this time, all morning, is first you make like an envelope of butter, that butter packet, and then you put that into the dough, and then you just take turns flipping the dough back and forth, and that's what makes those beautiful flaky layers in the croissant. So my last time I rolled it this way, so now I'm laying it this way for one last fold, and then I will put it in the fridge and refrigerate it for at least 2 hours before we roll it out one final time, before we then roll them and shape them. Baking things, I would just kind of estimate and kind of eyeball it, but for croissants I like to actually get out my ruler and make exact measurements, because for this it does matter. But we are at 10 by 20 right now inches, so I'm just going to take the top down, fold it over like this, bring the bottom up. That's my final fold, and then I just take my parchment papers that had the butter in them initially, and we're gonna pop that in there, wrap it up, and pop this in the fridge for 2 hours. So I'm actually doing 2 here because, I mean, if you're making croissants, you may as well make a double batch, right? I'm gonna do the same thing with this one, and then we'll be back in 2 hours. Just over 2 hours later to roll out and shape my croissants. I left my other one in the fridge because a big key for making good, like perfectly flaky croissants is you do not want the butter to get too soft. And so I do not want my other one sitting out and getting soft while I'm rolling this one out. It's a little bit of a fine line because you also don't want the butter too cold or it will crumble in your dough. But just play around with it, have fun, and my first batch actually turned out really well, so it can't be that hard. I'm gonna roll this out to 11 by 24 and then we'll cut them. I marked my dough every 2 inches with my roller and made little cuts, and now I'm basically gonna connect the dots to make nice triangles so that we can roll up the croissants. finished shaping both batches. This is what they look like now, and I am just gonna let these sit and rise for about 4 to 5 hours. But I have my little basting or like pastry brush here with a little bit of lukewarm water. Every so often, I just kind of look and see when they look dried out. I will go and brush them with water just to make sure that they don't dry out or get, you know, crunchy tops. I turned off my big roaster of apple butter last evening before I went to bed, and it is still sitting in the roaster this morning. So I am reheating it so it's nice and hot, and then I'm gonna put it into jars and it's done. I'm gonna bake it in the oven at 225 for half an hour to can it, and again, a lengthy process, but not a lot of hands-on. I wish you could smell the house. It is very caramelly, appley, all the spices. Josh talked about it probably 3 times he came in the house yesterday, how good it smelled. Okay, this is what it looks like. Not the most appealing, I guess, but the taste is impeccable. And I also forgot I do need to blend this yet before I put it in jars. This summer is that if you get a rag and dip it in vinegar and then wipe the rims of the jars with it, just simple little swipe like that, which I actually like to do anyways with water before, but I never did it with vinegar before, really helps the seal. I have not had one jar not seal since doing this. So that is my latest and greatest little tip on canning, and it's so simple. I was looking out my kitchen window and saw all of these, I don't know what they are, weeds, flowers, pink and yellow. Asked the girls if they wanted to take a picture, and they ran up, got some dresses, and we're gonna do a really quick little impromptu photo shoot while these are blooming.
Love beyond all means, it breaks the chains and gives strength to the weak. When I am lost, you're there with me. Your grace alone can set me free.
I feel like I could have planned that a little better. We're doing a lot of ton of work things in today's video that don't have too much to show for them. So far we basically have apple butter and croissants to show, but both are delicious, so I hope that it inspires you in your kitchen today. But we got 18 pints of apple butter canned, ready to go. It's actually just cooling, I guess, just off camera here, and I'm sure that we will enjoy that for, we'll see how long it lasts, maybe the winter, likely just a few months. But now the croissants are ready. You can see they are nice and puffy. I'm just basting them here with an egg, and then we'll pop them into the oven. Alright, while that first tray bakes, I am going to go ahead and make my apple compote. I did make the pastry cream a couple days ago, so that's been sitting in the fridge ready to go. I'm just going to use a recipe from Resplendent Kitchen. Y'all know how I follow recipes. But this is what I'm referring to kind of at least get an idea of what I want to throw together.
It knows no end, it covers me and is my defense. When I am weak, you're strong for me. Your grace alone can set me free. Your grace alone is good enough. Without your grace, there is no love. grace alone can comfort me. Your grace extends and offers.
Okay, it is a little after 4 o'clock in the afternoon and we are finally ready to see the magic happen. I ended up deciding to use this. It's actually an apple pie filling from my mom's apple trees back in Canada that we did up there with her last fall. This is my last jar, so it's kind of special. I want to put that in the bottom of the croissant, and then I have my pastry cream here, and then we also just quickly made a caramel sauce to drizzle over it. The little girls went to go pick some mint tea for me, and so this will be really fun to assemble. When I'm filling these, I love to cut them across the top this way, which, by the way, before we go further, I have to show you the inside of these. Those layers are what makes all that time of waiting, all those folding and laminating the dough so worth it. That's really fun to bite into, nice and flaky. But what I was gonna say is I like to cut my croissant the long ways when I'm filling them. So that's what I'm gonna do first. We'll fill it and taste it. This is my cheer section off camera. Everyone's waiting for a croissant, including you. I feel like some powdered sugar would be really pretty on here, but I feel like we have enough sweet for now. So I'm just gonna put a little mint leaf on each one for a touch of green, and we'll be ready to eat. And there you have it. This is what we were trying to make now for the last 4 days. But they are huge, they are filled, they have all the flaky layers, they are sourdough, and now we just need to see it if they're good. Who wants a bite? Oh, can I have a please?
Me! I want to bite. The croissant. That's bigger.
Wow. That's perfect.
For those of you that love all the homeschool content, I am so excited to show you what we're doing next. So we just finished zoology and we're getting ready to start the Titanic unit. Now, the way this is set up is you can definitely just use these books. You're good to go. You don't need any of all the other things that I got here, but I personally just really enjoy getting a little bit more hands-on things together, and I just could not be more excited to get into this. So I wanted to show you all the little pieces that I found to go with our Titanic unit. So this is everything laid out here. Starting in the bottom here, I found a Titanic coloring book, and by the way, I got all this stuff off of Amazon, so I will try to link it for you down below. I have a couple of board books for the kids to read through, and then this I think is so sweet. All of this came together in a packet, and it is so many cool things from the Titanic. We have their second class menu, there's like the newspaper article, there's so many pieces that are so cool to look through. Josh and I actually had fun looking through this already. And then we have, of course, our main books here. And then this is a game. So the game of the Titanic, I opened it up and it is so cool. It has like little passports in it, and the kids are gonna flip out. They love board games right now. I got a little hat that I thought the little girls might have fun playing with, and then this is a 3D puzzle of the Titanic. I believe this thing is like 2 feet long, so they are gonna have so much fun with that. And then I just got some stickers to put in their journals as they're taking notes and things like that. We have a fact tracker of the Titanic, and then voices of the Titanic, which is basically different. One of the survivors share their stories, so it's like 1 or 2 pages per person, I believe, and that should be really interesting to read through. So a couple things that I got to just enhance our unit study, and I can't wait to get into it with them. Today has been so just deliciously relaxing. It is Sunday afternoon. We had truly just such a good restful Sunday. We went for a family walk this afternoon and took naps and read, and it was just delightful. I loved it so much. But now we are getting ready for a very new tradition, you could call it. Something the kids have been literally counting down the days for. And if you've been around for a couple months even, you might remember that the first day of summer we celebrated with a little campfire outside, and then we all slept in the porch, and it was so much fun. It was like a big sleepover in the porch. Well, the kids have been begging to do it again. They're like, can we do this, you know, a couple times a season, whatever. So Josh and I were like, okay, we can do this at the start of each new season. We can have a little slumber party in the porch. So that's tonight. Today is officially the first day of autumn, which means it's time for a slumber party. So I made some homemade ice cream. Currently working on chicken salad sandwiches. I feel like I've just done so much cooking in this video that I was like, yeah, we'll just do that off camera. I don't really have recipes for the chicken salad either. I'm just kind of throwing it together. So I need to go finish my snacks and then go get some beds laid out over there. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you were inspired, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, friends.
Golden, golden thing.